an entertainment company president named Rob Goldstone is confirming the Washington Post report that the acquaintance who set up the meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and the Russian lawyer with Kremlin connections, was in fact Goldstone. He says he was the guy who did it. In his statement, Goldstone says that the lawyer claimed to have information about Hillary Clinton that the Trump campaign might find important. The meeting took place in June of last year at Trump Tower, and both Goldstone and Donald Trump Jr. say it was brief and the information was worthless and nothing came out of it. We'll have much more on this rapidly unfolding story throughout the day on CNN. Meanwhile, Russia isn't the only investigation and the only cloud hanging over the GOP agenda. With 3 weeks to go, Republicans are in a time crunch to get any of their big items crossed off their list before the August recess. These items have yet to make it even to the president's desk. Obviously, we've been talking about health care, but also tax reform, a budget at all, the debt ceiling, Russia sanctions, and a bill to fix the nation's crumbling infrastructure. GOP Congressman and Freedom Caucus Chair Mark Meadows put it this way to the Washington Post, quote, "There is real anxiety among the people that I serve on why we're not putting more things on the president's desk. They're tired of excuses." Manu?
Yes, they are. I agree. It's remarkable. This is all Republican control of Washington, and I think there's a very good chance that the only thing that they get done before the August recess, or at least before by the new fiscal year by October 1st, is keeping the lights on, keeping the government operating, if they could do that, unless there's a big fight over another campaign promise, which is to build a wall along the border with Mexico. And if the White House insists on money for that, that could probably, the fight with Democrats could lead to a shutdown. We're still months away to see if that will actually happen. They have to raise the debt limit, which you noted there. That's a perpetually huge fight within the Republican Party, and they may have to do that free of restrictions to cut spending. If that happens, the conservatives will be very upset that they did not get anything there. Health care, as we discussed in the last block, may not happen because of the divisions. Tax reforms, they're nowhere near getting a deal on tax reform done, certainly not in the next 2 months. And infrastructure, this plan is the one that they put forward, does not have the support of Democrats right now. And they need Democrats to pass in the Senate. They are ways away from passing the big ticket items that they campaigned on. They may just have to do the basic functioning of government, keeping the lights on, and that may be difficult in and of itself.
And I just want you all to listen to what Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, said at the Republican convention a year ago.
With Donald Trump in the White House, Senate Republicans will build on the work we've done and pass more bills into law than any Senate in years.
Okay, that was the aspirational part of this. At the time, they didn't actually think Donald Trump would win. But once he won, Republicans who weren't thrilled about Donald Trump being the nominee, or never mind the president, thought, okay, at least we have a guy in the White House and we can get our stuff done. And that ain't happening.
And it actually could have happened, and it is what should be happening when you just look at the numbers. I would put this list into 2 categories, the debt ceiling and everything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly,
and it's not just because you work
no, it's not actually be having a conversation about this. So there's the debt ceiling, and then there's everything else. But the trouble with everything else is not just momentum and getting everyone on the same page, it's the numbers for it, right? Because if the whole reason for the ordering was supposed to be reconciliation, the idea that the health bill will save money and then you can then spend money doing other stuff, it just changes like the whole equation of everything else, and it changes the kind of conversations you have to have about how you pay for things. And we saw, like, as recently as in the last week or two, the rumblings of a new debate about whether it makes more sense to go the populist route on taxes, try to do a tax cut, how are you going to pay for that, and get back to the real stuff later. When you're even talking about these things, it suggests that these sort of cleaves in the different branches of the Republican Party, the Trump populist base versus, kind of the business or corporate base, if this doesn't get resolved in 6 or 8 weeks, they go into the midterms really disorganized.
And I mean, Amy, as it feels like we're always in a campaign cycle, but it's really true once the calendar flips to 2018. But is this just the reality that the disruptor president, the guy who comes from outside, who says he's going to get all these things done, is facing the fact that Washington is tough, even maybe especially when you have your own party in charge of in the Congress.
Well, and Margaret put it very well, which is it's our daily reminder that what Republicans in Congress ran on was a very different agenda than what the president, who is a Republican, ran on. And this is a party now that is not a unified party. It really hasn't been in recent years, and it continues to be divided. So they never had going in this idea of what we're going to do. Once we get here, the Republicans in Congress said, this is what our agenda is going to be. Paul Ryan laid it out. We're going to go through this. This is not certainly what President Trump focused on. The real question in my mind is what kind of influence not getting stuff done is going to have on 2018 in terms of the enthusiasm for Republicans to come out and vote for other Republicans. In years past, what we know is when your side isn't doing very well, you tend to stay back, not go out. The other side tends to turn out because they're angry. Is that going to continue to happen in 2018?
Great question. Hold that thought. We are going to take a quick break. And up next, Ivanka Trump's big moment at the G20 that raised a few eyebrows and even earned a couple of tweets from her dad and someone else, Chelsea Clinton. That's coming up.